Everyone. Today we'll be going over a couple of use cases and we'll focus on use cases with data tables. First, I will talk about how we explore ChatGPT's ability to understand information presented in free text. Next, we will look at its ability to understand information presented in data tables. Discuss limitations in using the generalized publicly available version of ChatGPT to answer policy questions. And lastly, discuss in some detail how we can develop a customized chatbot trained on content we select in a trustworthy and transparent way. So let's get started. Since the early 2000s, Optimal has worked closely with the National Center for Education Statistics, NCES, to support reporting and dissemination activities for the National Assessment of Educational Progress, also known as NAEP. Administered at the national, state, and district levels, NAEP measures what students know and can do in the United States. So when we embarked on our corporate-wide working group to understand ChatGPT, and we did it department by department, we naturally thought of how we could leverage it for research work and thought of how we could use it to support our work on NAEP. So we went to the nation's report card, the home of NAEP, which you can see on the screen, and selected the math report card. Next, we toggled to the state results page, which is this. And then we asked ourselves, let's see what ChatGPT knows about NAEP state scores. So we went to the ChatGPT's user interface that has ChatGPT 4.0, the latest version, and we asked it to tell us something about NAEP grade 4 math score changes in states. And we got this instant response, which was, according to NAEP, when comparing state jurisdiction, average scores in math for 4th grade public school students in 2022 with those from 2019, the previous year, 0 states jurisdictions scored higher, 43 scored lower, and 10 showed no significant change in scores. And we double-checked it. It was correct. Toggling back to the nation's report card website, we saw that ChatGPT most likely used this bit of information to answer this question. And then that was the very first question we asked it. As we asked it more and more questions, we realized that ChatGPT was quite good at understanding information in free text and providing answers. But if you were to go to the nation's report card website, you'd see NAEP performance is not just presented in free text, such as this, but also presented in charts, graphs, and tables, lots and lots of tables. And that is not just the case for the nation's report card. As Mark mentioned, most scientific reports, studies, and statistical publications present key information in charts and tables. And even when these publications, and oftentimes, and most of them do, have a lot of free text, the free text is talking about context, purpose, research methods, and findings. And in the findings, they describe at a high level the key takeaways that are presented in the tables. So it is very important to understand whether ChatGPT has the ability to understand tables or not. And when we started to go and try to explore its ability to understand tables, we thought, well, there are entire publications which just consist of tables. And one such publication that we use every day is the Digest of Education Statistics. And its tagline says, the Digest of Education Statistics contains a set of tables covering the broad field of American education from pre-K through grad school. If you look deeper in the digest, and this is the 2021 digest tables, you see that there are 7 chapters, and each chapter consists of multiple tables. And this is an example of one such table. This is table 202.20, and it presents the percentage of 3 to 5-year-old children enrolled in school by age and selected child and family characteristics for the years 2010 through 2020. And this is just one example of a digest table. So naturally, we were like thinking, because the digest tables are just tables and there is no free text associated with them that explain the statistics presented, we wanted to see if we were to give the digest table to ChatGPT, would it be able to understand the information presented? So we went back to the ChatGPT interface. Again, this is ChatGPT powered by the latest version 4.0. And we gave it this prompt. Can you describe this table? And we gave it the URL to the specific digest table that we just showed. And the answer was, the table you mentioned is from NCES and shows the percentage of 3 to 5-year-old children enrolled in school by age and selected child and family characteristics for the years 2010 through 2020. And this information was correct. Going back to the table, we quickly realized ChatGPT was smart enough to grab the title because it figured the title is the best way to describe it. So we were like, it's clever. But then we were like, but does it actually know and understand the information in each of the cells? Because, there's a lot going on here. So we went back and asked it a follow-up question, which was, how does the enrollment of 3 to 5-year-old children vary by sex in 2020? And the answer we got was, for 2020, male children was 54.3, female children was 55.6. And this was correct. And you can see it in the simplified version of the page. The information came from these cells. So this was quite impressive because this served as a proof of concept that, in a simple table such as this, if information is presented, ChatGPT is able to understand that information and provide answers to questions correctly. But as soon as we thought of that, we were like, wait, we gave ChatGPT this table and then it was able to answer this question. Does ChatGPT know digest tables? Does it know some tables? Does it know all tables? So we decided to do this. We went and tried ChatGPT using a different user account. Okay? And we asked it the exact same question, but for a different year. We asked, how does enrollment of 3 to 5-year-old children in school vary by sex in 2021 in the US? And this time, we're asking about 21, not 2020, and we are not providing it the URL. The answer was, I'm sorry, but I couldn't find any information. And we were like, okay, it's conceivable. It does not know the information presented in all digest tables. That's good. But then we were like looking at the ChatGPT user interface's settings, and we saw there are 3 settings. The first setting is called precise on one end. A second setting is called creative. And there's a third middle setting called balanced. As you can imagine, the names are quite self-explanatory of what they are. When you're talking about official statistics, obviously you would want to use the precise setting. So when we selected the precise setting, we got this, I'm sorry, but I couldn't find any information answer, which, didn't help us out. So what we did was we asked it the same question again, but this time we used the setting called balanced. And when we used the setting called balanced, the response was, I'm sorry, but I don't have access to the current web page context. However, according to NCES in 2021, the figures that you're looking for are 52% for females and 48% for males in the US. We were like, oh, okay, we just had to change the setting. But then when we looked at the numbers, they were wrong because the information that we wanted was supposed to come from this table, which is the 2021 version of the table we first showed. And these are the cells we were looking for. So the figures we were looking for was 63.9 and 61.7. So this showed that not only did ChatGPT not know the answer, but if you tweak with its settings, it could give you wrong information. So let's take a few steps back and just think back to what we have learned so far based on the experiments that I just shared with you. First, we learned that ChatGPT is very good at understanding information in free text. We learned it can understand the information in data tables, albeit relatively simple data tables. If provided with a source URL, it can provide more precise answers. However, if a source URL is not given, it may not be able to provide an answer to a question. Or worse, it could hallucinate, which is provide a response that is not backed by the underlying context.